So The Walking Dead is back with season 11, episode 1. This is titled Acheron. Don't really know how to pronounce it, but it is part 1 of 2. If you haven't seen this episode yet, do not watch this review because this review is going to contain full spoilers for this episode. You've been warned. So for me, I've been very much anticipating The Walking Dead season 11. Of course, this is my all-time favourite TV show, and it has been ever since I started watching in season 4 when I was 14 years old. I'm now 21. I still can't believe the show is actually going to be coming to an end next year, of course, so I'll be 22 by the time show comes to the end. But it's still mad to think that we are now not only in our final season, but we've just seen our very last premiere, and well, this premiere, it's one of the best they've ever done. The only other premieres I can think that are anywhere near on the quality of this is I can't decide which I like more out of season 11, season 7, and season 5. All those premieres are absolutely amazing premieres, and I can't decide which I like more. Honestly, they are all amazing premieres to me. You look at other seasons where if you look at season 6, which I do love season 6 premiere, but it's very much a setup. Even though this episode is a setup, it's still a fantastic way to start off the season. The good thing for me personally is prior to this, I never saw any marketing anywhere whatsoever for The Walking Dead leading into a season. I would see the trailer online when it dropped at Comic-Con. That was it. That's how I knew about The Walking Dead. There was no advertisement anywhere. But for season 11, because here in Ireland it's dropping on Disney Plus on the Monday, there is marketing everywhere. I'd be listening to a podcast and they would be talking a little bit of audio. It would be Aaron kind of talking about Alexandria, or I would see the trailer popping up on YouTube before, or it'd always be saying watch it now on Star. I'd be driving by a bus stop and then there'd be a poster out of The Walking Dead, and it's just great. Even see, I don't think I've seen it on side of the buses, but I'm assuming it's on side of the buses, which I just think it's great to see The Walking Dead all over the place, because for me, I've never seen it anywhere. I was always just if I looked it up, never saw Walking Dead advertised anywhere, and now I'm seeing it everywhere, and it's actually brilliant. Even seeing IGN, there's like a Snapchat filter for Walking Dead. None of this is to do with the episode, but I just love that I'm actually seeing the Walking Dead stuff everywhere. It's just watching the show for so long and never seeing stuff anywhere. It's great to actually finally see stuff for the Walking Dead all over the place. The opening scene to this episode, by opening scene, of course, I mean the scene before the title sequence. And the only one I can actually compare it to is the season 8 opener, where it's no dialogue whatsoever. It's just like, I remember there was like a ticking sound, and it was showing our characters all getting ready for the big start of the war and the big kind of movement they were going to make on the sanctuary. I think that's the only thing I can compare it to, but even that, this is 10 times better. This is such an intense opening scene. From memory, it went on about 4 to 5 minutes long, and for the most part, nothing was said. They kind of signed a bit or kind of mouthed a bit of stuff to each other, but nothing was really said, and you felt the intensity throughout this episode. I felt as it was going on, like from memory, can't even remember if there was any music, but I felt so intense because there's so many walkers, and there were more like I can't remember what they call them in the comics, where they're called lurkers, the walkers that don't do anything until you come up to them. They were kind of been there for probably 10 to 12 years, so their bodies have kind of frozen until something hit off them to wake them up. But they were all just lying there, and it was so intense because you were thinking, for all we know, Carol could trip, or Maggie could drop her bow and it would wake them all up. So they're all tiptoeing around, going through there very slowly, trying their best not to wake them up. Of course, the women are the ones who went down, obviously because the men are heavier, so it's easier to put the women down because it's lighter. But they're going through, they're getting all their supplies. The opening shot of this episode, I actually thought was, honestly, it was gorgeous. Right from the start, you can see, okay, so The Walking Dead looks a lot better now. Not to say it looked bad before, but they kind of switched cameras for the bonus episodes, and like you could see it in the bonus episodes. But that opening shot where you just see Daryl on the roof, I absolutely love that shot. I've actually turned that into my desktop screensaver in work because I think it's a gorgeous shot. But right from that, you go, well, okay, so The Walking Dead looks a lot better now. But as they're going through the whole place, you kind of watch them see Magma, and I always remember her name, or forget her name. I think her name is Kelly. They kill walkers together. They're going through and they're bringing the bags up. Of course, it is The Walking Dead. Something's about to happen. The rope, of course, rips in half. The bag, a big massive bang is about to happen. Daryl catches the bag, but I don't know exactly what happened. I don't know if it was just the way his arm bent, it ripped open a scab, or the rope cut his arm, or something, or I don't know, cut his arm off glass, I don't know, but he cut his hand, and then you see a single drop of blood drop right down, landed on Walker's face, waking them all up, which is just, the tracking shot of watching that blood was just something I really was not expecting to see in anything Walking Dead. And even though I felt the intensity of them just kind of tiptoeing around the place, not wanting to wake the walkers up, once the walkers woke up, I felt the intensity almost triple, watching our characters kind of panic, running to try to get to the rope, get all the supplies up, because there was so many walkers there, easily 50 if not more walkers were there, and they all of them hadn't really eaten in about 12 years, so you can tell they were going to try their best to get towards them. You look at Carol kind of going back to get extra supplies, and you're looking at Carol saying, Carol, you're annoying anyone, or you're annoying everyone at the moment. Why would you do something to annoy them even more? Of course, she goes back, gets the supplies. Daryl gets his knife and he throws them down in quite a badass way, getting 2 walkers in the process. But that's Daryl. Daryl is a badass. Carol gets the knives to get the supplies up and they get the hell out of there. One of my things with the episode is they go there and they completely forget about it. If you go back there with 10, 15 more people, there was a lot of food down there. You saw there was a lot more food down there. I don't know why they don't go back to get the food. I don't know. There could be a reason. Maybe they feel like it's not safe. But going to where they are going, it would have to be safer to go down there and get the food down there. I don't know why they aren't going back there, because you look at food. Like, Carol just scraped the top of the box. There's loads of more supplies in there. There's got to be some reason why they're not going back. But of course, they go off, they go back to Alexandria. You get a reuniting scene with a lot of people. You get to see Maggie not only reuniting with Herschel, which I love that character. I think he just looks like a mini Glenn. He acts like a mini Glenn. His kind of mannerisms, everything about him just seems like Glenn, but as a child. But you also get to see a lot of the people that Maggie has been with for the past 6 years. For people that arguably she could be closer with them than she is with Aaron or any of these people. Anyways, Herschel knows these people. Herschel's looking at Daryl like, who the hell are you? Well, he knows all of these people. So to Herschel, these are his family. So that was kind of cool to see them actually come back. You also get to see a nice moment with Daryl putting his hands out to hug Judith, RJ and Dog. Just some great moments. And then we see that all the food they got, everything they went through, that's just enough for 1 week. I don't know if that's because they didn't get a lot of food or if there's just so many people in Alexandria, because you also have everyone from Kingdom and also everyone from the Hilltop. I don't know what happened with Oceanside. I imagine Oceanside is still a place. I wonder, is it just not a lot of fish at the moment? But anyways, they don't have a lot of food, so they're thinking, what are we going to do? Maggie suggests that they go back to her home place, the hometown she's been at for a few years. I think she said it was called Meridian, but I could be wrong. Everyone's against the plan. Well, everyone, like Aaron and Rosita are against the plan, saying, why would we do that? That seems like a death march. Like, you guys barely made it out alive. The best thing we could do is stay here, rebuild our walls, and take it from there. But Maggie's quite adamant that we should go there. Partly because I think she just wants to get revenge. I think she wants to, maybe she left something there. Maybe Glenn's watch is there. Don't really know what her big motivation to going back is, because there could be a lot of easier places to do, a lot of easier places to go and see. Even to go to Hilltop. Just because Hilltop got burnt down, there's still a lot of supplies there. A lot of supplies they could go back to get. I'm assuming the Kingdom still has some stuff. So there is a lot of places they could go that would be safer than going there. So there's got to be some other motivation Maggie has to wanting to go back there and get those supplies. But anyways, they do get up a group and they do start making their way there. But of course, a massive storm hits. And we see a storm in the Walking Dead universe before. We've seen one in Season 5 of The Walking Dead when they had to go in the barn. We also saw it in the back half of Season 4 of Fear the Walking Dead. That storm was more like a twister and a kind of a massive flood. That was an interesting enough storm that kind of really led on for a bit. But this one here, we could barely see our characters. I don't know how our characters expected to keep going throughout this. Daryl's got a hat on, everyone's just absolutely soaked, so they go down to a subway tunnel, and some people are like, we should keep going. Some people are like, we should probably stop. One of those people is Negan, and Negan is quite adamant, and I feel bad for Negan. I really do feel bad for Negan in this episode, because everyone treats him terribly, absolutely terribly, which you can look at it from a point of view where, of course, he did kill Glenn, and he was the leader of the Saviors. But I always, like, I have this argument with my girlfriend all the time. She goes, Glenn was Maggie's husband. They killed a lot of people. Like, even if you look at the episode when they go in and kill all the saviors who've done nothing to them at this point, they kill all of them. Then Maggie kills two of the saviors who kidnapped her. They kill people all the time. But this guy's constantly punished. I get it, he was the leader of the saviors. He was the bad guy for 2.5 seasons. But I think at this point, Negan has redeemed himself. Now, to me, I always loved Negan. When Negan first got introduced and he bashed Glenn's head in and everyone was giving out about him, I loved Negan. I've always loved Negan. That could be because I read the comic books and I loved him. Right beside me now, I do have my own Lucille. I dressed up as Negan for one Halloween. I do love Negan. So I do have kind of a soft spot, and I do want to see him succeed I want to see that guy succeed. I want to see him have a good kind of stable life, but of course he's not going to have one in Alexandria. So everyone's arguing, everyone's fighting, everyone's disagreeing with him. He's saying we should go back and we should come back at a better time, kind of weather-wise. Everyone's denying him, and then he calls Maggie out. Like, you know, like, Maggie, you don't care what I'm saying. You just want me dead. And he's saying, I'm not gonna, like, sit down and take it. You're not gonna kill me like a dog. And then he says, like, Glenn. And then I was like, oh, fuck, you really, like, Negan, I agree with you a lot, but, like, you should not have said that. And then Daryl just decks him. And I was thinking, is the last time we saw Daryl deck Negan? Is that what led to Glenn's death? Was that the last time we saw him deck Negan? And then of course it goes on to a great scene where Maggie points a gun in Negan's face and says, Negan, you keep pushing me. Like, I'm not the same person who left 6 years ago. I will kill you. The only part of me that is still good is the part that isn't want to kill you. So you keep pushing me and I will kill you. And I was thinking, God, Maggie seems a bit of a bitch. Like, I liked Maggie before. I liked Maggie before Glenn died. And after Glenn died, she wasn't the best. But as of right now, she seems more of a different character. Because the thing with Maggie when Glenn died was her character just kind of stopped. I felt like there's no progression. She didn't kind of evolve. She didn't kind of... Even though you saw her mourn, I felt like Glenn's death didn't really do much for her. If you want to compare it, if you look at June in Fear the Walking Dead, when John Dory died, seeing her character development, seeing what happened to her through all that, I feel like we didn't get that from Maggie. So I think that's probably why I didn't really like Maggie in season 7 and 8. I feel like she didn't get as developed. Of course, she wasn't really there for season 9, and seeing what's happening to her now, she's a bitch. Like, Maggie is a bitch, and it seems like a good progression of what happened to her. But I also feel like, why are you such a bitch? Like, I get it, Negan killed your husband, but you've killed people too, and I get it, I really do get it. He was your husband, but I just really don't understand why Maggie is such a bitch to him at all times. I really don't get it. So of course, yes, I did almost forget to talk about the Commonwealth. Of course, we got to meet the Commonwealth at first at the end of episode 16. Then we got to see a good bit, but not an awful lot, because it was mostly in the Princess's Head in episode 20, which I think is arguably one of the worst episodes of the entire series. I thought that episode was a bit of a waste of time, but we're not talking about that episode. Anyway, so we got to meet a little bit more of the Commonwealth. We got to see more of their process. We got to see Ezekiel, Yumiko, Eugene and Princess go through the process of getting asked all these questions. Some of the questions were very odd. Some of them were normal, like, what did you do before the apocalypse? And some were like, what do you wipe your ass with? You got just like your typical questions like that. But it does keep it go on. You get to meet a character that of course I knew we were going to meet him in season 11. He's a big character in the Commonwealth arc. Of course he was on the poster for season 11, which is Mercer. But honestly, I wasn't expecting to meet him so soon, but I also wasn't expecting to get back to our Commonwealth group until at least episode 3 or 4, so I was quite surprised to not only meet them again in episode 1, but also to actually get to meet Mercer. And I really like Mercer. I loved him in the comic books. I liked his kind of dynamic with all the characters he actually got to kind of hang out with in the comic books and in the show. So far, I'm actually really enjoying him. When we first got introduced to him in the comic book series though, and we got to see his armor, actually, complete side note, we never got a figure of him, and I would love to get a figure of Mercer. But when we did get introduced to him first time in the comic books, of course he wears his orange armor, and I was thinking, how the hell is that going to translate to the TV series? Now, when we got introduced to the normal soldiers in the white, I was thinking, that looks good. Looks a bit weird, especially in the mask. But the orange armor looks fucking brilliant. I really, really like the design they've actually gone with for the orange armor. But anyways, Mercer as a character, great. He sits in as they all have their talks. You see Ezekiel stand up to him at one point. Not an awful amount happens with this group. You just see them get asked and answered a lot of random questions. You do see them actually try to escape at one point. Then we get to see the Wall of the Lost, which in the comic book series was a very big storyline following Michonne, where she actually kind of got the realization that her daughter is actually still alive. Really, really big. I thought going into, I think when that was first kind of mentioned, that kind of storyline in the comic book series, I'd say we were in season 8. And I thought, okay, they're not going to get this to Michonne. Of course, she's with Rick. So I thought, and everyone else thought, Morgan, we're going to get that storyline, because I still believe that Dwayne is still alive, and at some point we're going to get to see Dwayne again. But no, they did not go with Morgan. Of course, he is on Fear the Walking Dead. They decided to go with Yumiko, which I feel in that group, it's the most obvious choice, because Ezekiel, I don't know, I don't think it would work for Ezekiel as much, because he's never spoken about any previous family. Yumiko as well, but we don't really have a lot of Yumiko, so she's kind of easy character, and Eugene's been with us in season 4, so he would have mentioned something by now. Plus he's got the whole Stephanie storyline, so he had enough to be dealing with. And then Princess, we only got introduced to her. I'm not going to give a shit if she meets her long lost brother. So Yumiko was probably the obvious choice for them to go ahead with that kind of character. So that's what we're going to be seeing in episode 2. I doubt we're going to get the reuniting scene between the two of them, but we are going to see her mentioning that, and it's going to kind of speed up their process of getting through the Commonwealth a lot faster, because of course she's got family in there. And in the last kind of bulk of the episode, you see our group in the tunnels going through, and there's a lot of body bags. By body bags, it's not full body bags. It looks like some people just have their head in a plastic bag, a shit ton of walkers. So they're going through this the exact same way they had done in the earlier part of the episode, when they were tiptoeing their way through. They're constantly afraid that they're going to wake up a walker. So as they're going through, they're killing off walkers bit by bit. Negan calls Maggie out saying, "This is, what the hell are we doing here? Are you trying to kill us?" And you see that Maggie's getting so pissed, and she would love to kill Negan. Because of Negan's big speech, we do see 2 characters actually leaving. One grey-haired man that I've never seen before, and then one boy who I think was the friend of the you know, there was like 3 people in Hilltop, and 2 of them got killed by Alpha, the ones that Henry was friends with. I think he's the last remaining boy. I'm pretty sure that is, but I don't fully know. He left as well, so I don't know what's going to happen with them moving forward. But they go through, they get to the end of the tunnel. There is a train blocking it. They can't go anywhere, and a shit ton of walkers come out of nowhere, start making their way. I'm assuming it's the one they didn't kill, or because they're all talking, and it kind of travels in a tunnel. Because of that, Dog kind of, I don't know if Dog panics or whatever, but Dog runs into a crack in the wall. Daryl then follows, because he's not just going to leave Dog there. All our group are panicking. What do? The train cart won't open, so they all start climbing up on top. All our characters go up. It's just Maggie and Negan. Negan goes up, Maggie is climbing up. Maggie slips, and you kind of got a scene that was very reminiscent of Mufasa and Scar in The Lion King, where Maggie's like, Negan, please help me up, and Negan doesn't say anything. He doesn't say a word. He just stares at her and walks away, which is something I didn't really know. I knew he wasn't going to push her, because it's not really going to work out well for Negan. I didn't think he'd save her either. I thought maybe he'd save her because it might help him look better in all his eyes, so he's actually saved Maggie. But then when he just walked away, I was like, oh fuck, I was not expecting that. I'm kind of glad he done that, because I think that's, like, of course it makes sense. Why would he save her? She's literally threatened to kill him at many times now. Everyone there couldn't give a shit if he lives or dies, so why would he save her? What is it going to do for him except maybe put him in jeopardy? And it makes complete sense why he did not decide to save her. But that is the end of the episode. Very intense, very shocking. That is not how I expected the episode to end. But honestly, what an amazing premiere. I'm so excited for not only episode 2, but for the rest of season 11. I still can't believe that we are now in our final season. It's so sad that The Walking Dead is finally coming to an end. But if you want to see future reviews from me in The Walking Dead universe, I do all 3 shows. So next week, episode 2 will be dropping, actually maybe sooner rather than later. I don't think it might be next week. It could be, but maybe it will be earlier. So if you want to hear my thoughts and get it as soon as it drops, click that subscribe button so you can come back and see episode 2 as well as World Beyond season 2 and Fear the Walking Dead season 7. They dropped a trailer for that recently and I cannot wait for that. So if you want to hear all my thoughts on everything Dead related, click that subscribe button. And as always, thank you for watching.